Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty RoundTable Radio Talk Show.
Happy to have you along, my fellow Americans. Sam Bushman, Dr. Scott Bradley. This is the broadcast for Friday, October 31st, in the year of our Lord, 2025, promoting God, family, country, protecting life, liberty, and property every day on your radio, on TV, everywhere we go, in interviews, whether we're doing the interview or we're getting interviewed. It's always about the sacred cause of God, family, and country, ladies and gentlemen. We reject revolution unless it's a Jesus revolution. Then we're in because we follow the Prince of Peace. It's also, believe it or not, for Halloween, it's a freedom-loving, fantastic, faith-filled, we're taking America back, one heart, one mind, issue at a time Friday. Dr. Bradley, are you just whistling through the graveyard for Halloween? Is that what you're going to do?
You know, no, it's kind of interesting. You talk about whistling in the graveyard. That brought to mind something. I've always got a story. I have kind of a strange, I don't know if it's a habit or interest, I guess I could say. When I'm in an area where there's something about the founding of this nation, I very often like to go visit it, whether it's, the Boston Massacre or the USS Constitution or Philadelphia's Constitutional Hall.
Well, have you ever gone and visit the Hempvale War?
I haven't, but what I was going to tell you about was I was in Savannah one Halloween. I was on business there, and the Savannah cemetery is an old cemetery. It goes back clear past the Revolutionary period, and I discovered that a lot of the not a lot, but there's a few founding era graves there, including Button Gwinnett, for example, that signed the Declaration. And so, I got done with business and got everything done I needed to do. And it just happened that it was way after dark, and I decided to go over and see this cemetery. And so I was in the Savannah Cemetery at midnight on Halloween. And I was looking for these Revolutionary period graves. And I guess people, anybody that saw me would have probably thought, what's this weirdo doing out in the cemetery in the middle of Halloween night? But there was kind of gangs of young people there that were, I don't know if they were just partying or if they were looking for trouble or what, but it was really kind of amazing. I was the only old guy, if you will, wandering around the graveyard on Halloween night while these kids were probably doing something spooky.
Yeah, so the truth is I'm correct then. Dr. Bradley is literally whistling through the graveyard on Halloween, ladies and gentlemen. I knew there would be something there if I just dug a little bit, I'm kind of off the plan of digging people up. Don't do that. I recommend against it. And for Halloween, I don't really like the witches and the warlocks and the negative and the scary and the, I don't like that stuff. It's bad for your mind, bad for your heart, bad for your soul. Although I do like spending time with little kids dressing up as fun things. And I do like the excitement the little kids have. And, I do like to kind of kick off fall by thinking about Halloween. I really like to focus more on the resurrection that Christ made possible. Then I like to focus on how grateful I am to be living in this nation despite all the problems we have for Halloween. Then I kick right into the celebration of the Savior Jesus Christ and all he's done to make these wonderful celebrations possible. That's kind of where I spend my time. Meanwhile, there's a battle over at Liberty Council. My buddy Matt Staver over there at lc.org doing a great job highlighting this reality. The headline says the Idaho National Guard. It's the what they call the Idaho Army National Guard. I don't really know what that means because I thought the National Guard and the Army were different. But anyway, can you clarify that for me, Doctor?
Well, there's an Air National Guard and there's a Air Force Reserve, and there's Army National Guard, there's Army Reserve. I mean, they do have,
Yeah, we've got so many military people to promote so much war, it's hard to even figure it out unless you go, I don't know what you got to go to boot camp and figure all that out, but there you go. Anyway, the Idaho Army National Guard continues to enforce a policy that prohibits Christians from holding command positions. It's a move that threatens the core values of our armed forces. So the client for Liberty Council about this is a guy by the name of David Worley, and he's been, quote, removed from command due to his privately held personal Christian beliefs. Thanks, they say, to an Obama policy that seeks to rid the U.S. military of Christians. Now, the problem I have with this, Dr. Bradley, is the policy may have come to fruition under Obama. I don't deny that. That might be true. But they say the Idaho National Guard is not above the law. I agree with that 100%, but I don't agree that it's an Obama policy because Trump has been in there 10 months. And if it's a Barack Obama policy, let me understand this. Didn't Trump have a term after Barack? And so after 4 years, I'd call it Trump's policy if it's still there. And then if it's Biden for 4 years, I'd call it Biden's policy. And then it's Trump for now 10 months. Trump's literally had 5 years at it almost since Obama put this policy in place. I have a hard time blaming this on Obama. They're all under this roof. Why is there an attack on Christians being allowed in the United States of America in our military? And if we want to go further, why do we even have an army, Doctor?
Well, there's so many questions there. This is, if it came in by the wave of a magic wand called an executive order, let's take it out by the wave of a magic wand, an executive order. It needs to be brought forward and corrected. The whole tradition of the American psyche, if you will, overarching, undergirding everything that's happened in this nation. And the American founding fathers were so willing to recognize that. The scriptural basis of divine intervention and the basis of our laws, the basis of our liberty, everything can be tied back to the Holy Book, if you will. And this is absolutely absurd. If that's the case, it needs to be corrected immediately. And it seems to me like if Trump is really concerned about restoring some of the traditions, making America great again, that was a great American tradition. And the idea that a Christian could not hold military rank is absurd. And there's no, you read Article 6 of the Constitution, there's no religious test. There's nothing like that. And no establishment of religion, which, that means there isn't an official state religion. And so now what are they going to do? Just have Muslims that are officers? I mean, that's another perversion if they try to do the Sharia law, which would just basically offset and cast out the United States Constitution because it would take precedence. So this sounds like an absurd policy that if it's still out in there and it's a tragic travesty that it even has any place in there right now, but to remove someone from a military command position based upon a Christian belief system is contrary to everything that the nation's ever stood for. So I'd like to get to the bottom of that one. That sounds like it's a real perversion of what the tradition has been in America.
Amen. And what I find fascinating is why is Idaho on this Barack Obama bender, whatever? I mean, Idaho is supposed to be one of the most conservative states in the nation, right?
Most of the time, if something is said in the media, it's far from that. Idaho's got a lot of problems itself. I mean, some of their governor's shenanigans and their big business, that's the IACA, their business operation, it's like Utah. I mean, just because Republicans run it, people think they can sleep at the wheel and they don't have to watch. Eternal vigilance is the price of liberty. That's what Andy Jackson said in his farewell address. And we need to have eternal vigilance. I wished I could get more Americans that were eternally on point, trying to recognize that many of these policies are simply a perversion of what the baseline traditions have been. And we need to just, as a people, let's get those guys out of office. Let's remove people.
Yeah, I'm for firing all 435 members of the House, though.
We could do that every 2 years, Sam.
Yeah, and I'm for doing that because every one of them has basically, I haven't heard anybody, not even Thomas Massey, by the way, and maybe I'm wrong. I can't watch every word all 435 people say all the time, but I don't really see any of them saying, hey, Mike Johnson, we need to remove you from office as the speaker. You've shut down government. You're telling everybody to go home. There's so much we can do even with the government shutdown. We're actually being paid, so we should work if we're being paid. It's wrong to not work if you're being paid to work. Okay, but I don't hear anybody really speaking out about that against Mike Johnson. Do you?
No, I don't. Mike Johnson has a pretty tight grip on it. Iron Mike's fist is upon everything. And it really, I mean, Massey, for example, in this discharge petition that he's trying to do on the Epstein files, that's being prevented by Mike Johnson.
Well, and that's why, how come no one's challenging the speaker then? I mean, when Matt Gaetz was there, at least they challenged the speaker. Now no one's even challenging Mike Johnson. But I would say you're simply unfit to serve. I don't know what you're doing, basically spending the whole... I mean, we had this incredible Trump revolution everybody was talking about. The Republicans swept and control everything, and we were going to make a big difference, and now we've simply sat home a significant portion of the time we've had in this congressional session. All right, hang tight, more in seconds.
Are you ready to stand up for your community and support your local sheriff? Join the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association and become a vital member of the Sheriff's Citizens Posse. At cspoa.org, we empower citizens like you through weekly webinars, arming you with the knowledge to back your constitutional county sheriff. Together, we can uphold our Constitution and ensure liberty and justice for all. Your community needs you now more than ever.
This is a battle between truth and deceit. A battle between forces that would enslave this country in darkness and between a media that wants to present you with the truth. We are being censored. America's news outlets no longer provide the truth. 90% of news outlets in the United States are controlled by 6 corporations. The mission of the Epoch Times is to chase the truth, to ground all statements in fact.
TheEpochTimes.com.
Attention collectors and savvy investors. We are excited to announce a momentous evolution in our journey. Introducing Free Water Coin Company, formerly known as Rust Coin and Gift. This rebranding takes us back to the very roots of where it all began. Free Water, Oregon. It's a tribute to the legacy of Al Rust and a celebration of 3 generations of dedication to excellence in the world of coins and precious gifts. Al, Brian, and Jake Rust standing strong through 64 years of service. Discover a world of exceptional service at Free Water Coin Company, your premier destination for genuine, honest money and precious gifts. Under Brian's expert guidance, Free Water Coin Company, building on the legacy of Rust Coin and Gift, continues its tradition of trust and excellence. Visit us at our Provo, Utah location. Explore our treasures online at freewatercoinco.com or call us at 801-377-1574. Free Water Coin Company, where your future is built one honest coin at a time.
All right, back with you live, Dr. Bradley. So I'm just saying I don't even know how to respond to some of this stuff anymore. It's just like Mike Johnson's locked everybody down, and I don't hear anybody really dissenting. And I guess they're saying, oh, you don't dare dissent because it's the good old boy network. Donald and Mike want everything shut down because they want to hold the Democrats hostage, and how dare you upend that discussion. But see, if I was in Congress, I'd be in the media every single day saying, I don't know why this clown's telling everybody to go home. I'm not going home. I'm in Washington ready to work. I've been paid to work. I've been hired to work, and therefore I want to get the work done. So if I can't spend time in Congress like I need to be, I'm going to spend time telling you guys what's wrong and what's right and what we need to do. I just got an email from Rand Paul. He says this: there's something truly frightening lurking in Washington. Career politicians and unelected bureaucrats have spent decades burying your rights under mountains of red tape, reckless spending, and government overreach. They thought they could silence the Constitution forever. They thought liberty was dead and gone, but I refuse to let it stay buried. I'm fighting to bring our rights back, to provide freedom, to restore sanity, and reignite the spirit of the founders who warned us against the monsters of big government. Whether it's defending your free speech, your Second Amendment rights, or your right to keep what you earn, I'm standing at the gates, shovel in hand, ready to dig us out of the graveyard. But I can't do it alone. Here it is. If you still believe in liberty, you got to send me some money, says Rand Paul. I agree with the message 100%, Doctor. I disagree with emailing me. You're literally shut down and not even working while you're getting a paycheck, and you want to beg me for money to keep you there? See, this is what I mean. Something's wrong with that, Doctor. Something's clearly wrong.
Well, this whole effort is a fundraising effort. They use euphemistic terms. I mean, all of those are general, wonderful, delightful, amazing, glorious. How many more,
bullet points,
adjectives can I put on this thing? Sure. But the fact of the matter is, let's have some specifics. I mean, in my undergraduate work, I spent some time in studying political science. And one of the classes I had to take, I don't remember the exact title of the class, but it was something like the language of politics. And it's a very highly honed kind of capability where you can use these words that you and I might attach meanings to, and someone else might attach other meanings to, but everybody thinks you're on the same page with them. And they're used very generally to get elected, to fundraise, as you point out right here. The crass fundraising stuff, it does take money to get elected. There's no question about that. But the fact of the matter is, let's see some real stuff. Now, Rand, generally speaking, is more of a mouthpiece for this kind of stuff in the Senate floor than most of the other people that are out there. But honestly and truthfully,
and he's spot on right on most of what he does. I get it. Right,
but it's blather. I'm sorry to say that, drivel, whatever you want to call it. When you use these broad brush, wonderful sounding terms, and somebody that's, Barack Obama could have said those kinds of things. I'm trying to make you free, people. Free to what? To mooch from the government or what? That's the way I'd maybe define it. But the fact is, that's how these guys all work. And, generally speaking, I think, like I say, Rand does more than virtually all of them, probably all of them combined, to do those things he's talking about based upon my definitions. But
I would agree.
They're words. 100%. They're just words, and they're asking for money.
Let me ask you this, though. How much more money could I give him that would make the difference, though?
Oh, probably your whole bank account. You'd be okay then, Sam.
Yeah, it's kind of like asking the government school people, how much do you need to educate my kids?
What's interesting?
Tell me the amount, and we're gonna go ahead and fund you 100%. How much do you need? And they won't even answer that question, Doctor.
Well, you bring up a very interesting point. Probably one of the largest industries, if you're taking on a whole conglomerate, is the education system in the United States. Hundreds of billions of dollars annually go into this thing. In fact, most of my property taxes go into that. And you stop and think about it. Lately, and I've been tracking with a pretty broad brush view of school districts around the nation, most of them are shutting schools down. It's a very interesting thing. And
I'm all for shutting government schools down every chance I get, buddy.
There's no question. In fact, but they keep asking for more money. They keep going with bigger bonds. And, we did something over $100 million bond here in our local system not too long ago. $100 million. You say, well, yeah, we need a new high school. Well, come on, guys, consolidate. And down in your neck of the woods, what is it? The Alpine School District. They have dozens of people that are making over $350,000 a year in the administration. And so all of these things, you say it's a deep, dark pit that you can never pour them enough money in to get a foundation again. And right. Those things need to be looked at.
By the way, how much do you think it costs to elect the average congressional rep now and the average senator, Doctor? Do you have any idea?
Oh, across the nation, it's multiple millions of dollars, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's about $2 to $5 million is the best estimates. You can't tell exactly for a variety of reasons, because sometimes they have money left over in their campaigns when they're done. Sometimes it's, there's money raised through PACs and private money and things that it's really hard to trace. But they say that the best estimates are that it's $2 to $5 million on average to elect a member of the House, and it's in the tens of millions to elect a senator.
See, that's what they're doing. They're buying the influence. These people that are donating those big bucks are buying the influence to get the lever of government pulled that they want to have done. And by the way, just unless they've changed the laws since I looked at it carefully, and it's been a few years since I have, but those funds that go into their war chest for election become their funds if they're not expended for election.
That's why we go in poor and we come out rich, buddy.
But they what happens is if they're going to take them into their personal use, they have to pay tax on those as though they had earned them. But these large reelection budgets that are left over, and when somebody leaves office after a number of years, they take that with them if they simply pay tax on that. And so the whole thing is a corrupt system. It's a corrupt system.
And then see, Rand Paul is a doctor, an eye doctor from what I understand. So I don't know how much he made as an eye doctor, but he probably made a pretty penny as an eye doctor. And I'm not downing him for that. He has every right to do that. But then he gets in the Senate. It's what, $200,000 a year or more with all the perks and everything else, maybe closer to $250,000. I don't know. All of his staff is paid and all this kind of stuff. And he can supposedly generate enough money from his own, quote, House or Senate. He's got the whole state of Kentucky, but he wants money from the whole nation, you see. It's not even enough to have his state fund him. And so my problem with this whole thing is it's broken. I could give my whole bank account and not even make a difference.
Well, you're right, and that was a facetious remark on my part. But
it's a true remark, though.
It is a true remark. And
that's true for 90% of the American people.
And there are literally, you look at the donations made through the Israeli lobby to most of the people that are in office. You look at what the pharma companies donate to their elections. You look at what the military establishment, the industrial complex, is donating to a lot of these people. If you keep your integrity, you don't have a lot of friends out there that are pouring money all over your body. And I'm not so worried about them accepting a donation if we, the people, would be wise and we would judge their actions based upon their oath of office, their constitutional responsibility. If somebody gave $100 million to somebody to get them elected, now I'm over-exaggerating that, but let's say they gave $100 million to have them elected, and that person in every instance abided by their constitutional oath of office. They were not pulling the levers of government on behalf of some special interest group. I don't have that big a problem with that. If I'm judging them on correct principles,
I agree, 100%.
The people that are given the money are going to go away. They're going to say, I'm not getting a return on my investment. And that's how we do it.
You're not carrying out my will. Therefore, and rich people are very finicky. They'll just be like, hey, I'm dumping the funding for you. And I'd like to see that. But I just look at this thing and I say, there's a target-rich environment for President Trump. He can't get to everything, especially in 10 months. My problem with that argument is that the things he needs to get to, he's not getting to. And the things he doesn't, in my mind, need to get to, he gets to. So, for example, Trump's done these, quote, global tariffs around the world single-handedly. If you study the Constitution, Congress is supposed to deal with the tariffs. Well, then the Senate, even when government shut down, voted against letting Trump do whatever he wants on the tariffs. The problem is Mike Johnson's derelict in his duty, and he's sitting at home twiddling his thumbs, and so therefore you can't get the House to go along, and you'll never get the president to sign it, and there's certainly not veto-proof majorities, and so, hey, we're DOA on that. But the senators, for once, are right. Rand Paul voted against giving Trump complete tariff authority, as he should. And Lisa Murkowski and a few other, a bunch of Democrats, I'm not here to agree with the Democrats as much as I'm here to say, for once, they were right on a principle. We need to rein in the president on these, just announcing tariffs everywhere.
Yeah, it is a legislative authority. And the problem is that we have almost nobody in office that has even read the Constitution probably. And anything they do, they use Article 1, Section 8, Clause 18 as justification, which they call the elastic clause, which they claim can do anything they want. It is frustrating, but we've got to, eternal vigilance. We got to do our part.
Amen to that. We're going to keep at it forever, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, we've got a whole nationally syndicated radio and TV show dedicated to this, on the air for more than 30 years. Truth-telling, promoting God, family, and country, protecting life, liberty, and property, turning our hearts and minds to God Almighty and to the supreme law of our land, which should be the political religion of the nation, in my humble opinion. Dr. Scott Bradley with me, freedomsrisingsun.com. I'm Sam Bushman, syndicated by the Loving Liberty Networks, lovingliberty.net. Spread the word. Tell everyone you know. Let's make everything go viral, telling the tale of truth, shall we? And happy Halloween to all of you. How do you promote God on Halloween, huh? It can be done. We're living proof.
Exposing corruption, informing citizens, pursuing liberty. You're listening to Liberty News Radio.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. The Trump administration is closing the refugee floodgates that were opened wide by the Biden administration. Team Trump is limiting to 7,500 the number of refugees admitted annually to the U.S. Many of those to be allowed in are white South Africans facing persecution in their homeland. The previous administration had set last year's refugee ceiling at 125,000. Now in its 31st day, the federal government shutdown rolls on. And with the holidays fast approaching, Vice President Vance is concerned about the growing impact on air travel.
Everybody here is very worried that we're going to see more delays, more stresses on the people who are actually making the aviation system run, and more problems for both the consumers but also the great workers who actually make this incredible shining jewel of the American economy actually work.
President Trump is calling on the Senate to resort to the so-called nuclear option, allows the filibuster to be eliminated, and Senate Republicans sidestepping the Democrats to reopen the government. They are extending a hand to their neighbors to the south.
As communities across the northern Caribbean are dealing with the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa, volunteers at a warehouse in Coconut Creek, Florida, are working to assemble emergency care kits loaded with food, water, and hygiene products for hard-hit Jamaica. Susan James Casterly with Food for the Poor.
It's changed the whole landscape.
James Casterly is originally from Jamaica and plans to join relief efforts on the ground there. The storm has left many without homes, power, or communication. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
The Justice Department's reportedly investigating whether leaders in the Black Lives Matter movement defrauded donors who contributed millions of dollars back in 2020. The Dow is up 116 points, NASDAQ ahead 268. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Every time I turn around, my friends at Pure Talk give me one more reason to feel good about switching. This month, for instance, they're supporting Canines for Warriors, a terrific organization that trains rescue dogs and then pairs them up with combat veterans struggling with PTSD. The result? They're saving lives on both ends of the leash. This is why I switched to Pure Talk. I like being in business with an American wireless company who shares my values. Yeah, I appreciate unlimited talk, text, and plenty of 5G data for just $25 a month, and I bet you will too. But I think you'll really appreciate doing business with a company who gives back to the men and women who volunteered to defend our country. Just dial pound 250, say micro. With Pure Talk's U.S. customer service team, you can switch in as little as 10 minutes. Again, dial pound 250, say micro, to switch to an American wireless company who actually stands for something. Pure Talk.
You know where the solution can be found, Mr. President? In churches, in wedding chapels, in maternity wards across the country and around the world. More babies will mean forward-looking adults, the sort we need to tackle long-term, large-scale problems. American babies in particular are likely going to be wealthier, better educated, and more conservation-minded than children raised in still industrializing countries. As economist Tyler Cowen recently wrote, quote, "By having more children, you're making your nation more populous, thus boosting its capacity to solve climate change. The planet does not need for us to think globally and act locally so much as it needs us to think family and act personally. The solution to so many of our problems, at all times and in all places, is to fall in love, get married, and have some kids."
Looking for an IT partner that truly understands your needs? Managed IT Services is the answer. We meet with you regularly to discuss your goals and form a tailored technology plan. Our customers have called us a trusted advisor who delivers. When it comes to IT, we do it all. Firewalls, cloud storage, server migration, and more. Say goodbye to long-term contracts and hello to a team that earns your business month after month. Call 801-706-6980 now and let Managed IT Services transform your IT experience.
Have you ever had great honey? No, I mean really good, all-natural, raw honey? Well, now you can, thanks to localhoneyman.com. We can ship out our locally made honey all across the U.S. So don't worry, you won't miss out. Plus, Local Honeyman has so many different flavors, like Utah Wildflower, High Desert Delight, Happy Valley, and Blackberry, just to name a few. So purchase your delicious raw honey today at localhoneyman.com.
All right, by way of public service announcement, ladies and gentlemen, it is fallback time. Daylight savings time goes away. The clocks fall back Sunday morning, like 2 a.m. or something like that. The good news is, I guess you'll get an extra hour of sleep, they claim. The bad news is they keep messing with the time, and this just shows how broken government really is, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know why, if government shut down over funding of everything under the sun, why members of the House and the Senate and the President can't pass laws that just abolish daylight savings time. I think we should get rid of it. I think we should go on standard time. If we want to simplify the time zones, that might be smart as well. There's so much we could do in this realm, but again, we're stuck on stupid, and we're going to bring it up every time and tell you how it's really important, and we're going to do something about it. Trump wanted to do something about it, and then he came back and said, oh, nobody cares. Who cares? And now it's a DOA issue. But it's indicative of really all the other things that we ought to be doing that we're not. And so I thought I'd bring that to your attention. This auto pen thing, Mike Johnson says he's going to go ahead and attack the auto pen and make it null and void. Will he be successful, Doctor?
No. I mean, the simple answer is that, you know, the House committee comes out and says, you know, we've interviewed everybody and we found that Biden really was not cognitive in his approval of these many of those things that were signed by the auto pen. And of course, the Democrats' response is, oh no, all the people that went over there testified that it was all okay. And so what's guys' problem? Fact of the matter is, if I were to think about it, I think Hunter Biden, he has shamed himself in every way, shape, and form. I can't think of another way he could shame himself and overdo what he's already done. I mean, we could make a whole litany of lists. The Hunter Biden pardon is probably a big non-issue. He's going to screw up again, and he'll end up, you know, in a headlock again. But the fact is, what about the Anthony Fauci? That's where I'm going with this.
We need to say that's null and void and prosecute that guy to the fullest extent of the law, create Nuremberg style trials, and get after it, Doctor.
Yeah, I think that that was and General Milley. I mean, some of these things were done that were very deleterious to not just the nation, but the entire world in many instances.
Amen. But do you think they're going to have any accountability? Do you think the Republicans are going to deliver on anything?
No, I don't believe that they have the backbone to see this thing through to the end. I think that, I mean, boy, prove me wrong, as Charlie Kirk used to say. I would love to be proven wrong on some of these things. But it just has not been the history. It just has not.
It's not, and it won't. It's a tragedy, but true. All right, let's talk a little bit about this Robinson guy. Now he's going to jail. He said he didn't want to wear prison garb. He wants to wear a suit. That's going to have the effect of turning this guy into a Charles Manson kind of a rock star, like a celebrated assassin if you're not very careful. They say, no, you still got to be locked up, but you can wear a suit. I'm just telling you, man, they're making a mockery of the courts, Doctor. But I don't even believe this guy belongs in court. I don't believe this guy really even did it.
Well, at the very worst, I think he's a patsy that somebody's playing up, and they're going for a quick conclusion. They don't even want to go to trial. But you know what? I think the judge was right in saying this guy ought to be able to wear a suit. I mean, you look at this. Well, I mean, these people, they're saying, oh, man, just get a quick trial and let's hang him. And show him up in his orange jumpsuit and his bulletproof vest and in shackles. And, that's not going to, think about this for a second. If you're the jury on this thing and this guy's sitting here looking like he just came out of the dungeon with unshaven, his hair's not combed and blah, blah, blah. And America's judicial system, according to the founding
he's innocent
fathers,
until proven guilty is the idea, right?
Unquestionably. And these people that are really ballistic about this, come on, give me a break. This thing, our system was designed to make sure that nobody that was innocent got punished. And what do they want him to do? Show up in that outfit like I was just describing and have a hangman's noose already around his neck? I mean, this is basically
what you're saying what you're saying makes sense. My concern a little bit, if we're not very careful, though, is we've created these followings of these assassins. That one guy that shot at Donald Trump or whatever is kind of turned into a rock star. All kinds of women wrote him letters, and they were in love with him, and there was this big public promotion of him. There's a lot of people backing this guy that took out Charlie, saying, hey, that was necessary. Charlie's an enemy, da-da-da-da-da. So we got to walk a fine line between, hey, we can't treat this guy like a criminal because he's guilty and still proven innocent.
Innocent until proven guilty.
He's innocent until proven guilty, people.
Right.
I want you to understand that, and I drew attention to it on purpose. He is innocent until proven guilty. So far, I haven't really seen any proof, Doctor.
Well,
I haven't seen autopsy reports about the bullet. I haven't heard that we've found the bullet and, tied it to his gun. I don't see the proof there at all. In fact, I see a lot of supposition is all I see.
Yeah, everything that's come out on this publicly with the official narrative is sus. Every single thing. If they can build a case that says it's so airtight, you better you better plead guilty so you don't get the death penalty. We won't have a trial. It'll save the nation, blah, blah, blah. And literally and truthfully, a guy could be railroaded into that kind of case. But the 30-06 rifle, the scope, the running across the roof with no rifle, jumping off the building without the rifle shoved down his pants. Somehow somebody went back and got the rifle off the top of the roof and put it in the woods.
If it was ever on the roof in the first place.
Exactly. And the idea that you've got a signed confession with text messages to his toy boy lover.
And his toy boy lover was supposedly cooperating and now has disappeared. I mean, it just gets weirder by the second. And so, I don't know what's going to happen in this. All I can tell you is this, though. We're making a mockery of our justice system, in my opinion.
It's no big deal if women are crazy enough to write to a guy and have a long-distance love affair with somebody in prison. I don't give a hang about that. What I want to do is make sure that justice is done, due process occurs, and this stuff gets aired in an open courtroom. We don't want any of these star chamber things.
I agree 100%, but I will say this, though. I'm not really worried about women in love with a person in prison that can do no harm. I'm talking about if you're not very careful, they'll literally become copycats and they'll become people in the media that are promoting this stuff. And that's kind of my worry is that, hey, I don't know that any of us public speakers are safe anymore.
Is a suit going to make this guy a threat?
No.
Absolutely not.
No.
And that's what so many people are beefing about. It's absolutely absurd. The founding fathers biased the judicial system in favor of the accused so that no innocent people were slammed away and done
in
away
fact, they
with.
said they'd rather let criminals go free than have innocents in prison.
Absolutely. And so the fact is that there's an effort to taint everything about this case, in my opinion. I mean, the publicity, the press, the everything that's been put out, and there is not one solid, substantive, defendable piece of evidence at this point.
All right, we're going to start nuclear testing, though. That's the solution, Doctor.
Well, and that's another thing that Trump announced. He was on his way to Asia to do his trade talks, and he says, hey, everybody else is doing it. No, they're not. They're not doing it. The nuclear testing. Russia announced in recent times that they were talking about nuclear propulsion for some missile systems and torpedo systems. But but nobody's touched off a nuke. The last one that happened on was Kim Jong-un in 2017, if I recall, did some testing. But the United States last did it in 1992. The whole problem with this nuke testing thing, and we could spend a lot of time on this thing. I lived through the downwinder days in Utah where they literally would touch off atmospheric nukes when the wind was blowing towards Utah and away from California. If the wind was going to, and I personally discussed this with the individual that made those decisions. If the wind was, the upper atmosphere stuff was going towards California, they did not touch them off. If it was going towards Utah, they touched them off. So Utah was expendable at the time. And a lot of people did get cancer. But the fact of the matter is, Trump announces we're going to do nuke testing. And this is not the right time of the day or year or century.
Nevada is rejecting it and says they reject it. Now, I get that we got to, walk softly and carry a big stick. And I get one of the greatest preventions of war is to prepare for war and make sure that, hey, if we're attacked, we're ready to respond appropriately. The problem is all this is being misused in the military-industrial complex, right?
Well, and the thing is that's interesting is that you talk to the experts, there's not a shred of any value that could come out of this right now. And it would take literally, I don't know if Trump knows the difference between detonation and propulsion. I don't know if he really understands what the Russians did. But the fact is that the Russians currently have about 5,500 roughly nukes. The United States has 5,000. China has about 600. They're saying that by 2030 there'll be 1,000. But the fact is that
here's the bottom line, Doctor. Domestically, making us preparing us for wartime.
It is indeed, and
I don't like to say that, but it's a fact.
We nuked Iran without using nukes over this whole process, and now Trump's going to crank it up. I mean, it's absolutely absurd. It'll take them 3 years to get ready to do any testing of any detonations because.
All right, hold on. Liberty Roundtable Live.
The Foundation for Moral Law is a nonprofit legal foundation committed to protecting our unalienable right to publicly acknowledge God. The Foundation for Moral Law exists to restore the knowledge of God in law and government and to acknowledge and defend the truth that man is endowed with rights not by our fellow man, but by God. The foundation maintains a twofold focus. First, litigation within state and federal courts. Second, education. Conducting seminars to teach the necessity and importance of acknowledging God in law and government. How can you help? Please make a tax-deductible contribution, allowing foundation attorneys to continue the fight. You may also purchase various foundation products as well at morallaw.org. Located in Montgomery, Alabama, the Foundation for Moral Law is a nonprofit, tax-exempt 501c3 founded by Judge Roy Moore. Please partner with us to achieve this important mission. morallaw.org.
As you are aware, America is divided over every fault line possible. This is intentionally fostered by those who do not love God, family, or country. We believe a peaceful future as a free people absolutely depends on civility. Clarion Call for Civility is looking for funding and volunteers at every level to make our hopes and efforts a reality. Please donate, sign our pledge, and help us in our sacred cause. Please visit callforcivility.com for more details. Callforcivility.com.
Bypass the mainstream narrative with Liberty News Radio at libertynewsradio.com. Engage with charismatic hosts live or on demand. We cover the crucial news focused on God, family, and country. News that other networks simply refuse to use. Think of LNR's hard-hitting news and podcasts at your fingertips, anytime, anywhere. Join us at libertynewsradio.com. Empower your day with the truth, because the truth will set you free. libertynewsradio.com.
All right, one other quick update on Charlie Kirk before we move along. There's a guy by the name of Rob O'Neill, and Rob is a former Navy SEAL credited with killing Osama bin Laden back in the day, okay? He now is expressing skepticism about the assassination narrative of Charlie Kirk. He talked about this in an interview with Clayton Morris on what's called the Redacted podcast. O'Neill questioned the early public accounts based on his experience with gunshot wounds, stating that the damage seen in the video of Charlie Kirk does not have an entry wound or relate to that. He highlighted issues of the ballistic characteristics, particularly if it had hit body armor. O'Neill emphasized the need, and this is really, in my opinion, where the rubber meets the road. O'Neill emphasized the need for verifiable evidence before accepting the narrative. I couldn't agree more. And that's really the issue, is we just can't trust government. I hoped Kash Patel would be the truth teller in there. I just don't see it. We're getting nothing but dribble. Every time we turn around, this investigation just seems to get wider. It's a sad tale to tell, for sure. Anyway, that's just a summary about Rob O'Neill. I think that was worthy of bringing up since he was a Navy SEAL and has a lot of experience with some of these things. He's skeptical and publicly saying so. All right, Dr. Bradley, let's see, what do we got next here? Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that one of the things that came up was, and it's the never-ending story about everybody, friend or foe of Trump, is talking about a third term. And so it ought to be put to bed once and for all and walk away from it. And Trump even this week actually talked briefly about, people are saying I couldn't do it constitutionally. You look at the 22nd Amendment, the 12th Amendment. I mean, come on, people. And how people are saying, well, Vance could run with Trump as his running mate, and then Vance could step down and Trump could resume his office of president and blah, 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 blah. And people, you just got to hold your mouth just the right way, or none of this stuff makes any sense. And it still doesn't to me. But the intent was nobody to do more than 2 terms, and the 22nd Amendment says that. And you can't run for vice president if, according to the 12th Amendment, if you're not eligible to be president. And, of course, Kamala wasn't, according to the natural-born citizen kind of stuff that Article 2 talks about, and we could talk about that at some great length. But Trump paired together, putting maybe, you never can tell. I mean, maybe Vance and Rubio could do it. Well, Rubio doesn't qualify under the original definition of the natural-born citizen, according to the way the Founding Fathers understood it, according to Vattel's Law of Nations book that was in the hands of the founders when they wrote the natural-born citizen thing. And, of course, Ted Cruz is making some noises about he wants to run. Cruz doesn't qualify.
What they're talking about is a Vance Rubio ticket. And the problem I have with that is that doesn't fly either.
Well, that's what I said. Trump actually literally put those two together. And I'm not sure either one of them would agree to do the thing. But
they have. They're best buddies. They agree. They're in.
Well, here's the thing. Rubio doesn't qualify under the Founding Fathers' original intent. The natural-born citizen followed the citizenship of the child, followed the citizenship of the parent. And neither
of the father, really.
Well, right. That's the way it was originally written by Vattel, and they changed it by law. But again, in 1940, doesn't change what the Founding Fathers understood natural-born citizen to be.
Of course, sure.
But Rubio neither of his parents were citizens in 1975 when he was born.
All right. Anyway, it's a disaster, and we have to educate people. And the only problem is who can run for president that would actually be any good. That's the real problem.
Well, nobody that's on the public scene right now. I mean, it's very disheartening. We are led by lessers, unfortunately.
But we don't even have any graders to recommend, hardly.
Well, not that the public would recognize, and not that would have funding, and not that would be
in other words, not viable.
Yeah, it's a really sad.
And I'm not downing those people, and I'm not saying they don't have the credentials. I know plenty of people that I would be comfortable with their credentials and everything else. I just don't think it could ever happen. You've got to be a senator or a governor or a rock star to make it. AOC has a better chance than half the people I'd recommend. So that's kind of the problem. But let's finish up on this trade issue. Trump just thinks by a whim he can drop Chinese tariffs from 57% to 47%. I'm glad he did it. But at the same time, I kind of look at that and go, now he's kind of back in China's camp. China literally is kind of, won him over? They've what's the word? He's in their camp now?
Well, I don't know if he's in their camp, but they're
so kind of back on their side now, right? He said the meeting with this guy from Communist China was a 12 out of 10, buddy. It was incredible.
I know he said that, but he's lied about other things too, and he has a spin on things that he does. And the fact of the matter is, I mean, this thing to me was a stumblebum kind of a approach to things. And Xi Jinping, I could comment at some length about his waning. My opinion, his power is waning. But let's just talk about what Trump says they came out with. Oh, they're going to buy his soybeans and sorghum and stuff like that from us. Well, China quit buying that because of the tariff stuff that Trump was doing to them, and they started buying it from Argentina. And Argentina's the guys that Trump bailed out with buying pesos.
Without authority, right?
Yeah. He sent U.S. tax dollars he bought pesos with them. And
why would we buy pesos for crying out loud? Why do we want those?
What are we going
to
buy?
It was America First. You don't buy pesos with America First, do you, Doctor?
No. And so, okay. I mean, so China is now going to start buying soybeans and sorghum again. They're going to reduce the amount of fentanyl stuff they're sending to the United States. So reduce it, my eye. Why not stop it? What kind of victory is that? I mean, how do you measure that? Oh, we were going to send 100 million pounds and now we're going to send 99 million? I mean, what? It's just absolutely absurd. And then the idea, Trump's talking like, they say they're going to delay holding back these rare earth materials because we need them so much for our military and everything. We're dependent upon a nation that could very well be our adversary and likely are even at this moment.
Well, they're communists. That alone is,
Well, but we're in a lot of different kinds of trade wars, economic and everything else like that. So they're in the middle of right now. Oh, we're gonna continue to send you, rare earth materials here that you can use in your military industrial complex. Trump's talking about trying to get some real high end chips from the United States sold to China. Are you kidding me? In my day, you went to prison for that kind of stuff because there's this adversarial.
Well, there you have it. And all I can tell you is this, folks. Halloween is a horrible day, in my opinion, because of the promotion of the underworld and the promotion of things that are ungodly, in my humble opinion. I want you to turn that day today, Halloween, into a patriotic day, a day to focus on God, family, and country. Spend time on your knees before God. Spend time with your loved ones and your family. Spend time on taking America back. And it's going to happen with we the people, and there is no other way. So prepare for the worst, pray for the best, work to make it like you pray. And that's really what we need to spend our time on, political aside. It's great to keep up on the news. Hopefully we brought a lot of educational information to your attention. That's valuable. But the real solutions are in your home. The real solutions are in your heart. The real solutions are in God, family, and country, in that order. Doctor, you want to wrap up?
Well, there's so much to be said about what you just talked about, Sam. And yes, we are on a topsy-turvy world, and there are a lot of misdirected emphasis, we might say, in the news right now. And we do, it's not just in the news, it's in the media for, sports, it's in educational kinds of nonsense, it's in drivel that's coming out from Kamala that's saying that we need to let 16-year-olds vote because they're wiser than all of us. I mean, come on, what Bravo Sierra is all of that?
Amen.
Can't qualify to, but there is a sound foundation. Truly, there is a sound foundation. The nation was founded initially, overarching, undergirding everything that happened in the founding era of this nation was the hand of God, the finger of God, providence. The founders talked about that scenario in different terminology, but it's all the same thing. God was at the basis of it. This nation was established largely by people who were seeking to get away from religious persecution and be able to worship God according to the
and tyrants who would deny liberty and this. And all I can say is this, folks, we need to go back to the same fundamental basis, these fundamental truths. And it starts with a relationship with God. And it starts with your family. Okay? It starts with God-ordained families. It starts with a healthy respect for and appreciation of those who came before us. Your godly and your American heritage are critical to this discussion. And all I can say is this: when you get discouraged with politics, take a break from politics for a weekend, for a day or two, and recalibrate your life and say, hey, I can do good in this world, and I can advocate for the right political viewpoints. Not right because Sam says they're right because they're time-tested true principles that work. Our founding and our great nation is proof. And even though it's got a lot of problems, it's still the freest country in the world. And it's still the nation that we need to gather people to prepare for the Savior to return. I mean, it's the nation designed to usher in the return of Jesus Christ. Therefore, we've got a significant role to play. Gird up your loins and take courage, my fellow Americans, and give hope to the cause, not hopium to false prophets and false pretenders and pretended legislation. Focus on the truth. We can set ourselves free, but it starts with God, family, and country. Politics comes at the end of all that. Moral principles takes center stage. Repentance and turning to God is where it starts. For Dr. Scott Bradley, freedomsrisingsun.com, and yours truly, syndicated by the Loving Liberty Networks, lovingliberty.net. Spread the word, share the love, and God save our constitutional republic.